All right, everyone, welcome to the next edition of the Mark You Down for a Cup of Joe podcast. I'm Mark.
I'm Joe.
And today we have a little bit of a different type of episode. We're going to be doing an NFL Pick'em episode where basically we go through the schedule of the Week 2 NFL season and we're going to pick the teams we think are going to win. We came up with this idea during football, while we were watching football on Sunday. Thought it would be a good thing to do. And we're going to try to do this, keep it consistent, and do a running total on that. But before we do that, would you please like, comment, share, and subscribe our Facebook page, Mark You Down for a Cup of Joe, on Facebook, and the same thing on YouTube, Mark You Down for a Cup of Joe. We'd really appreciate that. Trying to spread our exposure and our love for football with people. So if you have anyone who likes football, let them know. Send them our direction. So anyways, we're going to get right into it. Joe, what is the first game?
We're going to go talk about our Thursday night game, Tampa Bay at the Carolina Panthers.
Okay, so am I picking first, or do you want to pick first?
Let's have you go first this time. Let's mix this up.
All right, let's getting kind of spicy in here, but Tampa Bay at Carolina. I'm taking the the Carolina Panthers. I don't trust Jameis Winston. Throwing interceptions all over the field. I think their defense is good, but I just really don't trust Jameis. I think Christian McCaffrey might have another really big game, and I trust Cam Newton a little bit more. I think they're very comparable teams. I think it's going to be close, and I'm just taking the home team here in the division.
Yep, and I agree with you there, Mark. I too am picking the Carolina Panthers to win this game at home against the interdivision rival. I think the Carolina Panthers are a little bit more explosive. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have Cam Newton. I didn't like what I saw from Jameis Winston this past week. It still looks like he's a work in progress that may never actually progress. Throwing three interceptions in the second half, really costing his team the lead right there, the game right there. The Panthers have proven that they can do it in the past. I think they're going to come out and play really hard and go punch these guys in the mouth and come away with the win.
Yep, and I will give some credit to Tampa Bay. That defense has pleasantly surprised me. I think they did a really good job on Sunday. Let's see if they can keep that up. But anyways, what's the next game?
The next game we have is the San Francisco 49ers at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Okay, this is a tough one, but I'm taking the road team here. I'm taking San Francisco. I think they're going to build off of that defensive performance they had in Tampa. I believe it was in Tampa, right? I think.
Yeah.
So they played really well on the road. I know it's Jameis Winston, and he's not necessarily the best quarterback in the world, but I think that defense is going to find a way to slow down that Bengals offense. Andy Dalton had a phenomenal game, but a lot of that was John Ross, and I think now they know that John Ross is going to be integral to that offense. They're going to find a way to slow him down. Jimmy G is going to do just enough to score on that Bengals defense, which I don't think is necessarily the best defense out there. So, Joseph, what's your pick on this one?
I'm with you. I think the 49ers are going to come away and win this game on the road. I liked what I saw from Jimmy Garoppolo this past week. He looked good. He was making some nice throws. The 49ers defense looked really, really solid. They were pleasantly surprising, I should say. DeForest Buckner was back there. Their first-round pick, Nick Bosa, the brother of Joey Bosa, was an absolute monster. I know he didn't have the sack numbers, but he was a very disruptive player. He was always in the backfield. So I have them winning. I think it'll be a close game. I don't think the 49ers or the Bengals are going to run away with this one, but I have the 49ers winning.
All right, perfect. Well, so we're both in agreement so far, I think, with both the games. So let's move on. What's the next game, Joseph?
We have the Los Angeles Chargers at the Detroit Lions.
Oh, man, I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup, but as much as it pains me to say this, I'm taking the LA Chargers in the AFC West. I have a lot of questions about that Detroit defense giving up that many points to a rookie Kyler Murray, even though he wasn't really completing a lot of passes. And I just think the Chargers are an overall better team. They have more talent everywhere. I know they're on the road, but I think they're good enough to overcome on the road, especially against Detroit. So I'm going with the Chargers.
And once again, we are on the same page, Mark. I too have the Los Angeles Chargers coming in here and slaying the Lions here. They're going into the Lions' den and they're gonna leave victorious.
Maybe with a new lion coat.
Maybe. Hot take.
Spicy take there. Poor Matt Stafford.
Yeah, that poor man. Anyways, I like Phillip Rivers a lot more than I do Matthew Stafford. Phillip Rivers is a little bit older, but he's proven that he can win. He's proven that he can play consistent. I like the weapons he has around him in Keenan Allen. They have a solid running game. They don't have Melvin Gordon, but the guys that they had filling in for him, I know it was a couple, they were filling in just nicely. They still ran the ball effectively. And that defense is loaded with talent, led by Joey Bosa. So I have the Los Angeles Chargers come in and slaying the Lion. Next, we're going to go to the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers.
Yep. So, Joseph, I know this is a phrase that you like to say. You like to say, go Pack, go, right? Well, I'm going to say no Pack, no this week. I think the Minnesota Vikings are going to go and roll some skulls. You see what I did there? In Lambeau this week because of that defense. I think that defense is one of the best defenses in football. It's definitely a top 5 defense. It seemed to hit the ground running in the first regular season game, holding Atlanta to only 12 points, really scoreless for most of that game until Matt Ryan came back and had a couple touchdown passes and saved my fantasy team, mind you, in the process. That running game is going to be really good. It's going to be really hard to stop an explosive runner like Dalvin Cook, and I'm trusting that defense, and Kirk can play some complimentary football even in Lambeau, so I'm going with them.
The only skulls that the Vikings will be rolling this week is their own skulls.
Oh, wow, hot take alert.
The Green Bay Packers are going to take this game. It's a home game. Aaron Rodgers is going to be playing a lot better. I think he needed a game just to get back into action, get back into the swing of things. He didn't play at all in the preseason. Their defense looked really, really good this past week against the Bears. They came up with some stops. They looked good against the run. Their secondary looks really good. They had some nice pass rush. And I just can't pick against the Packers. That's my team right there. There's something special about Aaron Rodgers. He always comes up with a way to win it. And I'm going to put my money on him this week. So, go Pack, go.
No Pack, no. So, I guess that's our first one. So, what's the next game, Joseph?
We're going to go to another interdivision matchup between the Indianapolis Colts and the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh, so I think this is going to be a really good game. But since they're very similar teams, I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans. They played really well. They had a shellacking on the Cleveland Browns last week. Dominant performance, offense, defense. They were able to run the ball. Marcus Mariota looked pretty good. And their defense came up big. And especially with the loss of Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew, he didn't play bad, but he is a rookie. Still needs that experience. I think that it's going to be a really tough time for them to overcome that. So I'm going to go with the Tennessee Titans with the momentum at home.
Well, this is where we're going to disagree a little bit again, Mark, because I have the Indianapolis Colts coming in on the road and beating the Tennessee Titans. I really liked what I saw from Jacoby Brissett this past week, going 21 for 27, throwing for a couple of touchdowns. Marlon Mack looked really, really good for the Colts. He looks like a stud. He ran for 174, averaging 7 yards a pop. They gave him the ball 25 times. T.Y. Hilton looked really good. He looked explosive. And the defense played pretty solidly against the Chargers. I know they gave up the last-minute touchdown at the end, but I still think the defense played really well. They picked it up after the half. So I think we're going to see that carry into this game against the Titans, and I'm picking the Colts for this week.
Yeah, and on another side note, Marlon Mack definitely will be a really good fantasy team guy for me this year. He helped me win my game this week once again. So, anyways, Joseph, we're going to move on to the next matchup. What do we have?
We have another interdivision game. Well, I don't know how much of a game it'll be. But it'll be the New England Patriots against the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I'm going Patriots on this one. I don't know what to say.
Do we need to explain this one?
Let me explain a couple of reasons why I think This is going to be a shellacking, for lack of a better term.
Oh,
Well, one, it was a shellacking last week against a not as good Ravens team, so there's always that. Two, Tom Brady knows this team unlike any other. Been in the division forever. That's another one. I think that the players, let's see how much effort they give after that kind of a beating. I mean, there were players calling agents to say, trade me, you know. I think that's actually a bigger deal than people might let on. I don't know if they're going to show up to play. And the last reason, one that doesn't really make me happy, but this Miami native who, let's say his initials are the first two letters of the alphabet, he shall not be uttered on my mouth right now, is going to be playing his first game with the Patriots against his hometown in Miami. So all this leads to a recipe for a shellacking and the Miami Dolphins securing the number one overall pick once and for all this season. So, yeah, Joseph, who do you have?
no, I don't have much to add. I do just want to add to, what you mentioned earlier. How I don't think the Dolphins players are in it right now. I think they're kind of out of it. They've seen their coaches, they've seen other players start to go into cruise control, and I think they're just not going to show up at all on Tuesday, considering how dominant the Patriots played this past Sunday, them looking at the guys they have around him, and I just don't think they're going to show up at all at Sunday. I don't think they're in the right mindset to pull out the upset. So, Patriots.
Patriots all the way in that game. So, Joseph, who's next?
We have the Buffalo Bills going on the road to the New York Giants.
I think this is going to be a really good game, but I also think it's going to be an ugly game. But I'm taking the Buffalo Bills here. I think, there's uncertainty at the quarterback position with the Giants, so that, there's no real sort of consistency there. They're looking at Daniel Jones, they're looking at Eli Manning, they're trying to determine who they want to go with moving forward. So there's that. I also think Doug McDermott's one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL as the head coach for the Buffalo Bills. I think he's going to keep this game really close, really put the clamps down on that New York Giants offense that doesn't have a lot of playmakers, minus Saquon Barkley. I don't think it's going to be enough. I think Josh Allen is going to make a couple really spectacular plays because he is that gifted, even if he is raw and makes some mistakes. I think those couple of plays are going to be enough for the Buffalo Bills to come out with a win.
Yeah, exactly. I think Josh Allen's going to take the momentum he got rolling this past week, coming back and beating the Jets. And I think that's going to build up against the New York Giants. And this could actually be a game that he could really use right now, going up against a weaker team in the NFL right now. If he can go in, make some nice throws, come off with another win, I think we could see Josh Allen have steady progression throughout this year as an NFL quarterback. I like him a little bit better than I do Eli Manning right now, so I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills in a close, gritty matchup like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and the biggest thing with that, just one last thing to add is Josh Allen needs to protect the football because in a close game, 4 turnovers really does mean a loss. I mean, I think they kind of got lucky with the Jets, but I don't see him turning the ball over 4 times this week. So what's the next game, Joseph?
We're going to be going to Pittsburgh for the Seattle Seahawks and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
All right. Well, I mean, is Pittsburgh even going to be showing up to Pittsburgh this Sunday? I'm going with the Seattle Seahawks on the road. Russell Wilson, one of the premier disrespected quarterbacks in the NFL. Whenever we're talking about best quarterbacks, he's never really mentioned. But you know what? All this guy does is make the playoffs, make the playoffs, make the playoffs with whatever team's around him. I think the addition of DK Metcalf is a big one as he gets more adjusted to the offense. Tyler Lockett, guy they're going to look to a lot. And I think it's going to be too much for that Pittsburgh defense. And Chris Carson looks to be coming strong as of late. And really this comes down to I cannot pick the Pittsburgh Steelers after seeing the egg they laid on Sunday night against the Patriots. And granted, it is the Patriots, but that's fresh on my mind. And Big Ben and that team has a lot to prove. So I'm going with Seattle.
Yeah, and you covered a lot of the stuff that I was going to cover. Ultimately, my decision making here is I cannot pick against the Seattle Seahawks, especially what I saw from the Steelers this past week. The offense never got going. They couldn't run the ball. They were throwing all sorts of flat screen passes. None of their playmakers did anything. And really, they just did not look good as a team. So I'm going to go pick the Seattle Seahawks. We are on the same page with this one.
All right, perfect. Well, let's see if we're on the same page with the next game. And what is it, Joseph?
We are going to move on to an NFC East matchup between the Dallas Cowboys, them boys,
Oh man, we gotta have some
and the
dignity.
Washington Redskins.
Let's retain some dignity on this podcast. I know we're not huge right now, but we can't be saying things like that and expecting to grow our fan base.
Well, you know what? I'm going with them boys right now.
Oh my goodness.
We are going to take Dak Prescott leading the
Patriots.
Cowboys. Leading the Cowboys to another victory. He looked really, really sharp this past week. Kellen Moore, their new offensive coordinator. I don't think most people realize that he is an offensive coordinator right now. But he has done a very, very good job in maximizing Dak Prescott's abilities. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be more in shape, hopefully. He's getting into game shape again. The offensive line is healthy again. Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, they're all there. The defense looks sharp. And really, the Redskins do not look sharp. They have Case Keenum playing quarterback for them, and I think that says a lot right there. It shows what kind of situation they're in right now. So Dallas overall, I think, is just a much, much better team, and they're going to come in and do what they need to and come away with the win.
Yeah, I agree with you, though I will not go as far as to saying what you said. Their little catchphrase. I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I just think they're the Redskins and the Cowboys, to me, on offense and defense, kind of want to accomplish the same things. And they're very similar teams, but Dallas just does it way better. So I'm not going to overthink it. Even on the road, interdivisional opponent. Might be a tough one, but I could totally see the Cowboys winning this game by 10 handily. So I'm going with the Cowboys.
All right. So let's go down to our next game. The Arizona Cardinals against the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, let's just say
bird watching this game.
We are going to be bird watching. Let's get our binoculars out. Especially because Kyler Murray will come up short against the Baltimore Ravens on the road. I'm picking Lamar Jackson. How can you pick against Lamar Jackson right now after what we've seen? I know the Miami Dolphins aren't the best team. They're probably the worst team. But throwing that many touchdowns, just finding guys, he looks like he's developed a little bit more as a passer than I gave him credit for in the preseason. Yeah, they're hot. They're feeling themselves. They're feeling good, and they're going to be playing another one of the worst teams in the NFL. So, Lamar Jackson, I'm rolling with you, man. I think you're going to do it again this week and turn some eyebrows. So, Baltimore Ravens at home.
And we're on the same page once again, Mark. I too have the Baltimore Ravens in this matchup. I'm not sold on Kyler Murray just yet. I don't like the team he has around him. Lamar Jackson's hot. The Baltimore Ravens are playing really, really good football right now. Even though the Miami Dolphins are probably the worst team in football, it's still hard to drop 59 points on a team, which the Baltimore Ravens just did. So I think they're going to keep that momentum coming, and they're going to go. They're going to come out guns a-blazing against Arizona and come away with the victory.
Yeah, and I'm really impressed that they were able to Ravens were able to bring over Mark Ingram, and he looks like he's going to be the feature guy for that offense. So it looks like they finally found their guy for that. So doesn't bode well for Arizona, in my opinion. Anyways, what's the next game?
We're going to go to Jacksonville and Houston, another interdivision matchup.
Really good game in my mind. Man, if Nick Foles didn't go down, I might be picking the Jacksonville Jaguars, but I'm going with the Houston Texans on this one. What we see from Deshaun Watson is superhuman. The way he's playing football, he may as well be one of the best quarterbacks in football right now, absorbing 6 sacks and still able to go out and deliver the way he did. I know it didn't turn out the way they wanted in New Orleans, but that was almost an unfortunate ending. It had nothing to do with Deshaun Watson and his heroics. I'm going to go with him at home, interdivisional matchup. And I just don't think the rookie Gardner Minshew is going to be able to get it done against someone like Deshaun Watson. So what do you think, Joseph?
I too have the Houston Texans, but I think this could be a very, very good game. Gardner Minshew, he came out of nowhere, and he actually played really, really well. I don't think people really realized what he did. Nick Foles went down really early, and he threw the ball 25 times. He completed 22 of his passes for 275 yards. 2 touchdowns. He did throw a pick, but he had a quarterback rating of 122. Mm-hmm. So he played really good. He looked good. Let's see if he can do that again, because if they can get good quarterback play with that defense, these Jaguars could give the Texans a run for their money. But I'm gonna stick with the proven quarterback with the proven defense in the Houston Texans.
Yeah, perfect. This will be a really interesting game to watch, and this is one of those games where the loser of this game is going into desperation mode, I would think, at 0-2, in the division. So,
Yep.
especially if the Tennessee Titans win, like I think. So, anyways, what will be the next game?
We got another interdivision matchup, and this should be a good one between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Oakland Raiders.
The Raiders, baby, we're back. I'm gonna go first. Joseph, I'm not picking against my Raiders. You know that. I have my Raider hat on right now. How am I gonna pick like gold and red? Like, there's no way. Just win, baby. And realistically, this has the potential to get ugly really fast if Patrick Mahomes gets hot, but this is a game at home. Oakland is gonna be wild and booming. Being at the game last night, really showed that they want it. The fans want it. They're really gonna feed off this energy. Derek Carr's playing excellent football. I know he didn't throw a lot of touchdowns, but I mean, he was just the guy. He was the man, making every third down throw that they needed. And that rookie Josh Jacobs is going to have his way with that Kansas City defense, I believe. Have an opportunity to keep it close. I'm taking the Raiders at home with a lot of energy. So, the Raiders.
I'm picking this team not because I love doing this, but I'm going for the Raiders.
Let's go! I did not see this one coming. Okay, so why do you think this?
I think Patrick Mahomes is gonna have a little bit of a, I won't say a bad year, but he's not gonna produce the numbers he put up last year. What he did last year was incredible. That's a once-in-a-career type of season, I think. If he can duplicate those numbers this year, then I think we have the makings of an all-time great. I will say that if he does that this year, but it's too early to say something like that. I didn't like what I saw from him last week. He was getting pressured a little bit, making some bad throws. There's the popular clip out of him right now throwing that no-look pass to Travis Kelce. I think he was trying to showboat a little bit. I think he's a little cocky right now. I don't think he's expecting the Raiders to come out and play hard, and I think they're going to come and punch him in the face, come and smack him in the mouth, as we say in football. Derek Carr looked really, really sharp. The numbers didn't back it up, but I think it was more of the game flow that may have brought his numbers down a little bit, but he looked really sharp. So we take in them. Raiders!
The Raiders, man. Let me just tell you this. If the Raiders go up 2-0 in the division, back-to-back weeks, I know they're at home, but the prospects, I mean, this could be a potential playoff team, and I'm super excited about that. I really do think if Kansas City comes in and just kind of expects the Raiders to roll over, I think they're going to be dead wrong and mistaken. So both of the Raiders, surprising one, makes me happy. But anyways, let's not spend too much time on the Raiders' victory next week, potentially. Let's move on to the next game, and what will that be, Joseph?
This is against the Chicago Teddy Bears and the Denver Broncos.
And who's at home in this one?
The Denver Broncos.
Okay.
And I'm just going to go ahead and start. I, in good conscience, cannot pick against any team in Chicago. The Bears, well, I guess we can call them Teddy Bears after this past game against the Packers. They did not play very well at all. I don't see them going into Denver on the road, going up against a good defense. Joe Flacco. He made some nice throws against the Raiders. He's still, I wasn't wowed by his performance, but I still think he's going to be a solid quarterback for them this year. The defense looked good, but I think the big thing is I just don't trust Mitchell Trubisky and that Bears offense to move the football. And I don't think that defense is good enough. It's not going to score enough to carry this team to victory. So we're going to take the Broncos.
Well, Joseph, it really pains me to say this.
How dare you? I thought we were friends.
But the Denver Broncos are going to beat the living snot out of the Chicago Bears on Sunday. And I'm not happy to say that the Broncos are going to win, far from it. But the thing I go back to is how can I in good conscience pick the Chicago Bears to win on the road when Mitchell Trubisky could only put up 3 points throwing 45 times against no pass rush? What's Von Miller and Bradley Chubb going to do to this guy? I mean, this has the potential to be a really ugly game. I don't think Joe Flacco's that good either, but he's a veteran, and I think he's going to know how to handle himself on the field. I just don't. Man, this has a recipe for a disaster for the Chicago Bears, and we're looking. I think we're looking at 0-2, and their season is definitely in some danger at that point. So, yeah, 45 throws, 3 points, no pass rush. That's insane. That's not going to get it done against the Denver Broncos for sure. So, anyways, next game, Joseph. What do we got on the schedule?
We're going to be going down to Los Angeles for the New Orleans Saints at the Rams.
All right. Go for it.
I'll go ahead and start us off with this one. I'm going to be going with the New Orleans Saints in this matchup. Okay. I think they're going to come in. They're going to be fired up for this game after last year's playoff no call that should have sent them to the Super Bowl. So I think they're going to want to come up. They're going to want to come in and put these guys. They're going to want to show these guys up on their home stadium, on their home turf right there. In this past Wednesday against the Texans, the Saints showed that they could still move the ball. Drew Brees still looked fairly good. He has lots of weapons out there, and Michael Thomas, Jared Cook, Alvin Kamara, they were able to move the ball a little bit. They were able to control the Houston offense a little bit. I know Houston still had some nice drives, but the Saints defense had some really nice stands in there. And I think they're going to come in and show these guys up. I think they're going to play a lot harder than the Rams because I think most of these teams are fairly evenly matched offensively and defensively. But I think the Saints are going to come in play harder.
I'm actually going with the LA Rams at home here. A few reasons. One, I know Todd Gurley is not the same, but their backup running back seems to do pretty fine. I think it's not more of a product of Sean McVay's offense, but he can obviously find a running back to work in his offense. I like Jared Goff. I don't think he's better than Drew Brees, but I think Aaron Donald's going to be a disruption all game. And I think kind of the reverse that you did, the whole Rams, the Saints thing, the Saints are going to get up and play harder. I think the Rams are going to play harder because you know how much noise New Orleans has created in this offseason about, it should have been a pass interference. We should have been in the Super Bowl. Well, there's still a full overtime period where the Rams actually beat the Saints. They got the ball back. Or Drew Brees got the ball. They had the opportunity to score, and pressure got in, and Drew Brees threw the pick, and the Rams won. Jared Goff made the plays when Drew Brees couldn't. So I think they're going to be looking to really prove, no, we deserve to be in the Super Bowl. We're the superior team. We are at home, and we're going to kick the snot out of you guys. And I think that mentality, plus being at home with Sean McVay, I think this is going to be a bloodbath, but I'm picking the LA Rams to come out on top on this one. So, differing opinions. This is probably, to me, this might be the game of the week. So, keep your eyes peeled for this one, guys.
All right. Well, we got another good one for the Sunday night game. Another good matchup between two good quarterbacks. The Philadelphia Eagles at the Atlanta Falcons. Excuse me.
Wow, is that a new expansion team, the Atlanta Rams? They're sharing a stadium?
Yes, it's a little side project I have going right now.
Hush.
But I think this should be another good game between Carson Wentz and his Eagles and Matt Ryan and his Falcons. I have the Philadelphia Eagles coming in on the road and beating Matt Ryan and the Falcons. I really liked what I saw from Carson Wentz this past week. After a little bit of a slow start, he seemed to pick it up a lot faster in the game. I think right around the second half, things started they started to really get going for that offense. He looked really sharp. They were able to move the ball really well. The defense is still going to be really good. I still like that front seven. And the Falcons, I just didn't like what I saw. I know they did go up against a top 5 defense, but that's Matt Ryan back there. He didn't really do anything. It took him a while to get going. And I think Carson Wentz is just going to outdo them in this game, and that's going to be the deciding factor.
Another bird watching game we're going for, and this is birds of prey. We're talking about some big dogs in the NFL. Big birds. No, I can't say that either. But with this matchup, I'm actually going with the Atlanta Falcons at home. They lost the game on the road to the Minnesota Vikings. I think that's more of a product of Minnesota's defense and being at home. This is a desperate team right now. They can't afford to lose 2 games going down 0-2. This is going to be desperation time. I think Matt Ryan's going to play his best football, and Atlanta does tend to play way better at home anyway, so I think we're going to see a different version of that offense, going to put a lot of pressure on that that Philly defense. I think Carson Wentz is going to have a great game, but I'm going to take Atlanta at home. So, and the desperation. So I guess we differ there, but let's go bird watching. We'll see how these bird games turn out. But there's one more game left on the schedule for Monday night. Joseph, who is playing on Monday?
We got the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets this Monday night. So the Cleveland Browns and the New York Jets. This should be an interesting matchup. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah, I think this one's going to be really interesting because these are two teams that people have picked to make the jump, so to say, next year, this year. They both have second-year quarterbacks in Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold. I know the New York Jets are at home. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns on this one. I think just in the sense that Baker Mayfield, he looked bad, and I don't think he's going to be the type of guy who's going to come back and have a repeat performance of what he did against the Tennessee Titans. I think he's going to clean some of those things up and really be focused and ready to go. They've been talked about, and there's a lot of speculation. I think they want to shut him up. They're those kinds of guys, him and Odell. So I am nervous about this one, though, but I could see the New York Jets pass rush really just dominating, and Baker Mayfield looks bad, but at the moment I'm taking the road team to win this game. So what do you think, Joseph?
I think the Cleveland Browns are going to come in and take this game. And really, I just did not like what I saw from the Jets this past week. Them losing to the Bills like they did, giving up 14 fourth quarter points, which cost them the game. Sam Darnold, I know he's young, but he really didn't look like he didn't impress me with anything that he did. Le'Veon Bell, he didn't have a breakout game. He didn't look like his old self. He got the ball a whole lot, didn't make any explosive plays. And looking through the Browns game, looking through the stats, Baker Mayfield, I know he had 3 picks, but everything else was there. He still completed a lot of his passes. He threw for a lot of yards. They put together a decent run game, and I think their offense is just going to be more explosive this week coming into New York on the road. I think they're going to come away and win this game. I think Baker Mayfield's going to work out some of those kinks in his game. I think the protection will be a little bit better. They're going to run the ball a whole lot, and I think that's what's going to push them to victory this game. So I have the Cleveland Browns winning.
All right, perfect. So that takes us to the end of our picks. Joseph, I'm going to have you run through your picks again, the guys you picked. So right. Who do you have in all of your games?
So I have the Carolina Panthers. Then I have the San Francisco 49ers, the Los Angeles Chargers, the Green Bay Packers, go Pack go, the Indianapolis Colts, the New England Patriots, the Buffalo Bills, the Seattle Seahawks, the Dallas Cowboys, Baltimore Ravens, Houston Texans, the Raiders, the Denver Broncos, the New Orleans Saints, the Philadelphia Eagles, and then the Cleveland Browns.
All right, so going through this one, let's see how similar they are. I also have the Carolina Panthers. I have the San Francisco 49ers, the LA Chargers. I do have the Minnesota Vikings and the Tennessee Titans, unlike you. I have the New England Patriots. I do have the Buffalo Bills, the Seattle Seahawks, the Dallas Cowboys, the Baltimore Ravens. I think we differ with Houston. I have them. And then the Raiders. I can't pass up an opportunity to say it like John Gruden, so I'm picking them at home. Denver Broncos, I have the LA Rams, then I have the Atlanta Falcons, and then the Cleveland Browns. So that is Week 2's Pick'em segment. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let us know what you think is a little bit different, where we may be off base on some of these picks, and let us know some of your own sleeper picks. So thank you for listening. This is Mark.
This is Joe.
And we are signing off. Until next time.